Alright, homie, I want to show you my setup real fast and what to kind of keep an eye out for whenever you're looking for a bow. I'm just going to kind of hit some main things for you right now. I can talk about all the specifics later on the phone or whatever. I just want you to kind of have a better idea what to be looking for. So if you look at the shape of the bow, I was talking to you on the phone the other day, I was telling you about how the engineering has came such a long way with these things. The newer bows, they're going to be shaped a lot differently than all the older stuff. So whenever you're looking at used bows on Craigslist or wherever, you're going to notice right away the newer bows, you're going to be able to recognize them right away because they have a whole different shape. If I take the quiver off, you can see that the bow has very, very steep angles to its limbs. It doesn't have a traditional bow shape at all. There's a reason for that. It's to make all the inertia of the string slapping forward. It makes the limbs actually go in an up and a downward direction. It keeps the limbs from wanting to throw forward on you. So the best way to explain it, I actually just drew it out real quick. On the older bows, the traditional bow shape, all that inertia of that string slamming forward is going to be pushing the limbs at a forward motion. So if you didn't have your hand closed on the bow and you let the string go, the bow could actually just launch right out of your hands and fly out into the weeds. The newer bows are designed to have all that inertia be absorbed in an upward and a downward direction. You can see right away the shape of the bow, how it's going to do that. As those cams roll over and the string slaps at stop, all that inertia is being absorbed in a direction like this rather than that. If that makes any sense. So that's how you can tell right away if it's a newer bow or not, because that newer design, they call it beyond parallel limb design, it's only a couple years old. So keep that in mind. Couple other things with the bows that you're going to want to be looking at is, this is a carbon bow. They're still, for the most part, all aluminum. This one's only 3.8 pounds, and I really like a light bow. I know we've talked about it before, but anything up into the lower fours, it's going to be up to you. I just like keeping the bow super light. Without the quiver on this bow, especially, it is just like a feather. And I really like having a super light setup. As we talked about before, I don't even have a stabilizer on the bow. I just have that capped off with a bolt with my wrist sling. So I can walk around with this in the woods all day long. The stabilizer's up to you. Without any accessories on this bow, it's just, with the accessories on it, it's just so well balanced in my hand. I don't even feel like I need it. A lot of guys like to have the front weight. So after you release the arrow, they like to have the bow want to fall forward. I've just been so accustomed to just holding the bow as still as I could all the way through the shot that I never really even worried about that at all. So keep that in mind. A lot of the accessories, everything's interchangeable. Focus on getting the right bow because you can change anything on it. The one thing that we talked about the other day that maybe I'll just run by real quick is, you know that I really like to have the most streamlined setup as possible. So when you get into the point of actually putting accessories on your bow, I can show you a little bit more, but I have a tight spot quiver, and as you can see, it sits super, super close to the bow. I'm trying to line it up for the camera there. I have a 5-arrow quiver and I have a 3-arrow quiver, depending on how long I'm going to be in the woods that day. If I'm going to be in the woods for a half day, I'll just take my 3-arrow quiver. If I'm going to hunt morning and night and not come back out of the woods, I'm going to take my 5-arrow. Comes off super easy, super quietly. If I'm set up and I have an arrow knocked, I'll take it off the bow and I'll just lay it in the weeds next to me. But having the quiver is nice too because it also kind of hides you. So if you happen to be on a spot and stalk on an animal, you can actually use that quiver as another piece of something to break up your outline. So the full containment rest is super important. And what that means is, once again, this is all interchangeable, but I knock an arrow, I'm out in the woods, I happen to be on a stalk, I want to be able to take the bow and I want to be able to move it around all directions. I don't want to have the arrow fall off, hit the weeds, that sort of thing. This one here is not actually my favorite. I have one that I liked a lot more in my last bow, but this is the newest technology. This is the newest one out. All the bow hunters really like it. And all the deer I've taken with this bow, it's always performed real well. So I can go over, like I said, all the more accessories later on. It's going to be a lot to go over because of the differences between them all. But just to kind of give you the rundown on the bows themselves, I was talking about all the different absorbing pads that are on the bow, all the different lings on the bow now that'll actually absorb all the shock and inertia of the string slapping closed. So you have these string leeches, they're called. You're going to see these on most bows now. This is my stopper here for the string. This is going to absorb a lot of the inertia, a lot of the vibration. I was referring to it as being dead in the hand whenever we were talking on the phone. All that stuff is super important. You're going to see all that already being incorporated into all these new bows. All these string leeches, all the different dampening devices. I have these little waffle ones down here. These all come standard on the bows now, where before, this was all stuff you had to like adhesive onto the bow itself, onto the limbs, onto the riser. But like I said, start paying attention to the actual design of the bow. A lot less limb, a lot more riser. This is the riser part of the bow here. The framework of the bow is going to be a lot bigger, and your limbs are going to be super tiny. I mean, this thing's barely even, probably not even a foot long. So all the manufacturers have different cam designs. But they're all going to be super competitive. Don't get yourself super nerded out on the actual cams themselves. They all draw really nicely. Your nicer bows in that are going to be at like 80% let off now, which is like perfect. You're going to be able to hold the bow back all day long, and that's kind of the idea. So the last thing I'll show you right now, just because we also talked about it too, was my release that I like using. I have a reason why I use everything, and one of the most misunderstood things about bow hunting is the fact that you lots of times don't have very much time once you see an animal. Lots of times, as opposed to the TV shows, they're so quiet that sometimes you'll look down, you'll look around, and you'll realize that there's an animal 15 yards from you, and you don't have a lot of time. You have to get your bow in your hand, you have to be ready to go. The thing I like about my release I'm shooting now, if you can see here, it's just a little hook that grabs the string. So this wraps around the string, and then that releases it. So when I'm hunting, I don't like having to take my focus off the animal to my gear and figure it all out. You're not going to have time. And the big thing is that lots of times the animal's going to tell you how long it's going to stick around by how it's acting. If it's grazing and if it's walking real slow and it's not in a hurry, you're going to have the time to look everything over and figure it out, right? So I'm going to be able to have time to hook up to my D-loop and then draw the bow. But if I don't have time, or if that animal's walking through the weeds and I'm trying to figure out exactly what class of animal it is, if it's a big doe, if it's a buck, if it's a real young animal, I'm not going to have time. So I like being able to have something that I can actually use my thumb, find my D-loop while I'm not looking, and then slide my trigger right into it. So an example would be, I'm out here, I see an animal, I get my hand on the bow, I use my thumb on my D-loop, and I slide my trigger right in there, or slide my grabber right in there, my hook. So I can actually do that all day long. I can draw the bow, I can take everything off, I can come back, I can find that D-loop with my finger, I can hook it, and I'm ready to go again. I don't have to wait and look over my stuff to make sure that everything's where it needs to be. There's other kinds that pinch the string, the D-loop. There's other kinds where there's two bearing balls that have a closer on both sides of them. There's a bunch of different styles. I really like this one. This is the TrueFire Hardcore, it's called. This is like a bow hunting release for sure. And like I talked to you about before, my bow is set up for bow hunting. I'm not into the competition archery stuff too much more. I still use a 5-pin sight just in case I want to do a 3D shoot one day or something, or if I just want to go to the range and play around at the further yardages. But I'm a 40 and 45 yard and under shooter because that's going to be where I'm shooting my deer at. Furthest deer I've ever shot has been 40 yards, and you can't see it, but it's right over here. But yeah, man, I hope this helps. As you find equipment, as you find the bows, just shoot them over to me, man. I'm happy to give you my opinion on all of them. And yeah, once again, don't focus too much on the all the accessories. It's all interchangeable. When you get to that point, I can tell you exactly what to probably do to give you the best setup for the bow that you have. Last thing is, most of the bows nowadays and forever, they always have stickers or stamps on them that tell you your weight, draw weight allowances, and also your draw length allowances. And I don't know if you can see it here on the video, but this is my Hoyt, and it comes with 2 stickers here that says the draw weight allowances and also the draw length allowances. So how you're going to have the modules adjusted to have your draw weight and your draw length perfect for yourself. So anyway, if you ever go to look at a bow and some guy tells you it can go to 27-inch draw length, you want to look at that tag on the bow, because he might just be trying to sell a bow he hasn't been able to sell, and he might just be telling you it can go to 27 inches. Those little tags will tell you exactly what that bow is rated for, what specifically that bow can do. So keep that in mind, because not all bows can go 4 inches one direction to another and have weight increments of, 20 or 30 pounds in one direction to another. Sometimes it's very, very incremental, and you actually buying a different bow specific to what you're actually needing. So yeah, man, hope this helps. Hit me up whenever you find a bow, man. Happy to help.